How's it going, super friends? Welcome back to my channel and thank you for joining me today as we have a look at the brand new DC Multiverse Signature Collection Danny DeVito Penguin from Batman Returns, made by Mattel. This penguin comes in the blue multiverse packaging with the great big window in the front so you can see his hat, extra hands, and umbrella, as well as the figure. We got the penguin on the left side, we got the penguin on the right side, and then on the back we have an image of the prototype as well as a little picture of the Heath Ledger Joker figure, which I've got as well and I'll be reviewing next. The Penguin plans to destroy Gotham City in his crooked campaign for mayor. Just one thing stands in his way: Batman. And then we have one more creepy write-up. They wouldn't put me on a pedestal, so I'm laying them on a slab. And also, just before we open it, here's what the top of the box looks like. And here is the bottom with the UPC code. Right, now we open it. Outside of the packaging, here's the whole kit and caboodle. He comes with a Penguin action figure stand with a DC Comics logo on it that the bottom comes off, and you can store all the extra things inside that say you're not using at the moment, as well as a bag of little pegs for sticking in these little holes here so you can put his feet on them. The little pegs just fit in those little holes like that, and the little rectangular peg just fits in the slot like that. But I'm going to take it out because I'm going to show you what else can go in that slot. We have this little piece right there that fits just in there like that so that you can stick that in his back. Here's his top hat. It's got a textured look to it, except for the band and the bow. That's like a smooth paint. But yeah, that's what it looks like. It's hollow on the inside. He's also got two black gloved closed flipper hands for holding onto his umbrella. He's got himself an umbrella, of course, because you can't have the penguin without having an umbrella. That's like synonymous. He's also got this piece right here that goes on the end of his umbrella. It's clearly supposed to be a bullet that's being shot out the end. Here's a little hole in the end where you can just stick it right in the umbrella like that, and you've got a bang umbrella. I feel like that's a reasonable amount of accessories. Also, some people might want to count his long coat, so that could be counted as an accessory too. As for the figure itself, let's take a closer look. It's a simply painted figure, but it's sculpted nice enough for what it needs to be. The shoes, all the stripes in his pants, which could have been painted, might I add, but they decided to sculpt them. All of the fine detail work in his double-breasted vest with the buttons and all the little dots. His big scarfy tie thing with all the little polka dots on it looks nice enough. And overall, the size and shape of the body really has that Batman Returns DeVito penguin look. I'm satisfied with this. And overall, that head sculpt, when you factor in the long pointy nose and the chin and the treacherous looking grin and the black around the eyes, and then that pasty white penguin skin, I think that they did an excellent job of capturing Danny DeVito's penguin look. And let's just take a moment here to really examine the jacket that he came with. I mean, I suppose it could be better and it could be worse. They didn't do anything to make sure that there was no fraying of the hem of his lapels here and the collar, so that might be a problem, I suppose, in the future. But, you know, this is a mass-produced Mattel product, adult collector or otherwise. They only have so much money they can put into this. They did sew the tops of the pockets on there, and they did make sure that there was at least a hemline on each of the cuffs for this. So, you know, it just is what it is. Now, I would like to take just a moment right now to point out the fact that, yes, there definitely is some fabric bleed onto the white of his shirt from just the fabric itself, possibly being over dyed or whatever. For me, that's not going to be make or break. I can probably get that dye off, but for some of you, that might be a problem. You might want to do some posing of Danny DeVito without the jacket. Although, if I remember correctly, Danny DeVito as Penguin wasn't really entirely clean looking. So, I mean, maybe this just ends up adding to the overall accuracy feel of this figure. I mean, I don't know, take it for what it is, but I figured that I would show that to you as well. As for this penguin's articulation, it's going to be as follows. The head is not only on a ball peg, which you would expect, but I feel like it's also on some kind of a hinge. It really feels kind of hingy. And then, of course, the armpits, it being multiverse, you have your ball hinge, swivel hinge, so round and up and down, which is normal. The elbows, they're single hinged, and you can't quite get 90 degrees out of them, but one thing they do is rotate. They can spin. And you know what? When it's not double jointed, you've all heard me say this before, I'm okay with it as long as they have the rotation there. The wrists, they rotate round and round, and there's a hinge in each of the wrists. And you know what? That's a reasonable amount of wrist articulation, if you ask me. As for Cobblepot's torso articulation, obviously there's not going to be an ab crunch, but there does seem to be some sort of ball joint. And you know what? There's actually a lot of swivelly, roly-poly, Humpty-Dumpty articulation in there. His groin, ball joint, as we knew it would be. He's got a thigh cut for rotating. He's got single-jointed knees, and they can do about that, but they also rotate, and I like it when they rotate. So you know what? I don't care that they're not double-jointed knees or elbows for this figure. And then for those ankles, they're black, so they're not doing a very good job showing up, but they go back and forth, they go round and round, as you'd expect, but they also, this is the important part, they do have a bit of a pivot. So is the articulation for this penguin great? No. Is it terrible? No. And if I'm being honest, I actually like the fact that you can't really see his knee articulation. It doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. As for the comparative part of the video, I brought in the only other two penguin figures that are made by Mattel that I own that I thought were also relevant to the video, and that would be the Batman Unlimited Superpowers throwback, and then the DC Universe Classics penguin. I think that Mattel has given us three of the very best penguin figures probably ever made, in my opinion. Okay, so now that we've looked at everything, from the packaging to the figure, the accessories, the articulation, comparisons with other penguins, what do I think of him? Well, I think he's fantastic, and those of you who have been coming to my channel for a long time were probably expecting me to say that, but hear me out. Reasonable articulation for a great big roly-poly Humpty-Dumpty figure? Check. Reasonable likeness to Danny DeVito's penguin character? Check. Are the paint apps neat and tidy? Absolutely. And does it come with a reasonable enough amount of accessories? I think it does. Sure, there are two things I would definitely change about this figure to improve it, like possibly the jacket. I would have done something else to make it just a little bit better, because it does seem just a little cheap. And I probably would have used some sort of shading on the figure itself as well to accentuate just a little bit the wrinkles in his shirt and also in his vest. But overall, I think that they did a fantastic job bringing the Batman Returns Danny DeVito penguin to life in 6-inch action figure form, which, might I add, this is actually the first of its kind because we've never seen this before. We've gotten Danny DeVito penguin in 3 3/4 inch, and we've gotten him in really big scale. I think it was like 13-inch or 14-inch, but we've never gotten him in 6-inch scale. So I gotta give credit where credit's due. This was a fan-demanded figure that overall is actually very reasonable in comparison to, I think, what fans would like in a mass-produced Mattel product. If you want Mafex quality, you're gonna pay Mafex prices. But what we get is North American, mass-produced quality, something that more people can afford in comparison to something that would be a foreign import. So for what this is, I absolutely think that it's fantastic. But anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it, so hopefully you've enjoyed this video on some level. If you have, please take the time to leave a thumbs up on it. Any comments you have, pop them down in the comment section below. And if you think you'd like to see more of my sort of content show up in your inbox on a fairly regular basis, then today I invite you to become a super friend and join the DC squad. How do you do that? Well, it's simple. Hit the subscribe button, ding the bell so you get notified of when I put out new videos, and I will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.